This is how democracies die. One man, one cell, no charges. I open this with a quote from the United States Holocaust Museum. Keep in mind, President Bukele of El Salvador refers to himself as Central America's hippest dictator. He calls himself a dictator. He has arrested over 75,000 people without legal process. Many of them are in his prisons, claiming that they're gang members. But, you know, he has altered the Constitution of El Salvador. People are not guaranteed due process. So here is the definition from the United States Holocaust Museum. Quote, what distinguishes a concentration camp from a prison, in the modern sense, is that incarceration in a concentration camp is independent of any judicial sentence or even indictment and is not subject to judicial review. In other words, once you're put in a concentration camp, the courts can't do anything about you. And you're put there without any intervention by the courts, without any process by the courts, which is exactly what Donald Trump has done with Mr. Garcia, and it's exactly what the dictator, self-described dictator of El Salvador, bragged about yesterday in the White House. Yesterday was the day that democracy in America officially died. We no longer live in the land of the free and the home of the brave, the country that the rest of the world looked up to and depended on, the country that claimed to follow the rule of law and claimed to value compassion and protection of its most vulnerable people over everything else. We are now in the midst of an outright coup against our Constitution, against the United States, and against our founding ideals. Trump proclaimed it yesterday when he openly defied the Supreme Court and our founding documents with a sneer, and his neo-fascist sycophants in the room chuckled and giggled in the Oval Office. When Marco Rubio claimed that arresting and deporting a man legally living in the United States who had committed no crimes, the father of three, the husband of one, all U.S. citizens, when Marco Rubio claimed that arresting and deporting him was foreign policy that can't be overseen by the Supreme Court, and then congratulated himself on his cleverness, we saw this coup in real time. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a legal resident of the United States. He committed no crime, and he's now held in El Salvador's most notorious concentration camp, where as many as 75 men are packed into cells designed for a fraction of that number. Prisoners are not allowed outside, not for fresh air, not for exercise. The fluorescent lights never go off. Food is minimal, plain rice or beans twice a day, and water. No possibility for appeal for him or the other 75,000 people that Bukele has arrested and imprisoned without due process. This father of three citizens, this husband of a U.S. citizen who had been in the United States with our permission, is today packed in with savage gang members, literally rapists and murderers, in one of the most infamous and violent prisons in the entire world. He has no access to legal counsel, no information about charges or release, and the medical care is often denied except in extreme emergencies. Days blur into nights as men lie on concrete floors or sit in silence, many carving repetitive paths in the walls to stay sane. Kilmar may be doing the same, clinging to routine, to hope, to anything that reminds him that he once believed to belong to a country that promised justice. He came to this country when he was 16 from Venezuela from El Salvador to avoid gang violence. Now he's in a prison cell with those very gang members who threatened to kill him when he was 16. Donald Trump is the most lawless president in the history of this country. And he yesterday declared that essentially we are no longer a constitutional democratic republic as long as he is president. And how do you know that? Well, let's just review the Constitution of the United States. Habeas corpus is a fancy Latin term that means produce the body. And what it means legally, and has since 1215, the year 1215, when on the plane at Runnymede, King John was forced to sign the Magna Carta. What habeas corpus means is that you may not be put in jail without legal due process, without an attorney, without a judge or a jury, and without some sort of evidence against you leading to a conviction for your crime. You may not be imprisoned. And this is what Article 1, Section 9 of the United States Constitution says. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. Now, Trump thinks he can get around Section 1, Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution by saying that, and as he did in an illegal executive order, that Venezuela has invaded America because of this Venezuelan gang that has some members here in the United States. That's his claim. But there is no invasion of America by Venezuela. The Venezuelan government has not sent anybody here. It's a complete lie. And he's using it to suspend our Constitution. And by the way, Mr. Garcia is not from Venezuela. He's an El Salvadoran. So, I mean, literally, even with Trump's lies in place, there's no basis for this. Then there's the Fifth Amendment. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Or the Sixth Amendment. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury. The Seventh Amendment. The right to trial by jury shall be preserved. The Eighth Amendment, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. Tell me, where? Anywhere in the Constitution, it says that the President of the United States or the Secretary of State can simply order a person, and by the way, the Fifth Amendment does not say citizen, it says person, to be arrested and transported to a foreign hellhole concentration camp without a warrant, without an attorney, without a trial, even without advance notice that might give him a chance to protest his innocence. A unanimous Supreme Court ruled this week that Garcia was entitled to due process. Justice Sonia Sotomayor was explicit. She wrote, "The government's argument implies that it could deport and incarcerate any person, including U.S. citizens, without legal consequence, so long as it does so before a court can intervene. The proper remedy is to provide Garcia with all the process to which he would have been entitled had he not been unlawfully removed to El Salvador. That means the government must comply with its obligation to provide Garcia with due process of law, including notice and an opportunity to be heard. It must also comply with its obligations under the Convention Against Torture." And Trump's response? He gave her the middle finger, her and her 8 colleagues on the U.S. Supreme Court. He said, "Screw you." And he said it to our Constitution. He said it to the founders of our republic. He said it to every soldier who ever fought or died for our country. And he said it to you and me, the American citizens. It's an open assertion by Trump that the coup that he began on January 6, 2021 has completed itself. He is now in complete defiance of our Constitution and our Supreme Court. This is a coup. Make no mistake about it. This is an overthrow of the government of the United States. It's the seizure of the government of the United States by a lawless regime in collaboration with a foreign dictator, with multiple foreign dictators. I would argue that Vladimir Putin plays a role in this. And now Trump is saying that he wants to send, U.S. citizens, people like you and me, to this foreign hellhole prison, which reminds me of what Thomas Jefferson wrote about King George II. He has refused his assent to laws. He has obstructed the administration of justice. He has made judges dependent on his will alone. He has subjected us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws. He has deprived us of the benefits of trial by jury. He has transported us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. He is taking away our charters and altering fundamentally our form of government. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit for the rule of a free people. Get in the streets this Saturday.